Hello, you're most welcome to Computer Literacy 2, and here we're going to basically be looking at two applications under the Microsoft suite, and these applications are Excel, Microsoft Excel, and Microsoft PowerPoint. These are the two applications we're going to focus on the most in Computer Literacy 2. Without wasting a lot of time, I'm going to take you through some few slides explaining or introducing us into Excel. And please, I don't want you to be bored thinking that it's going to be a theoretical course unit. This course unit is entirely practical, so we shall be interacting with Excel and PowerPoint practically using the computers. Without wasting a lot of time, let's dive into this. We use Excel basically to store and organize data. We also use it to analyze data. But then another cool thing we can do with Excel is to represent the data graphically in forms of bar graphs, histograms, and scatter plots. These are some of the areas that we can be able to present our data graphically. Microsoft Excel consists of what we call workbooks. Each workbook rather is made up of an infinite number of worksheets. And it's very, very possible to name each sheet to aid in organizing your data. Of course, the sheets come with default names. An example is sheet 1, but you can rename it so that it can ease your work or to make your work well organized. We're going to look at this practically. Excel spreadsheet organize information such as text and numbers by what we call rows and columns. So the data that we're dealing with in Excel is going to be basically in what we call rows and columns. And this is a basic example of how a row looks like. If you're seeing here, we have 1, then we have this row here. This is a row. Rows are represented by numbers along the side of the sheet. Yes, on the left hand side, we have numbers that represent the rows. Then we have columns which are running from up, down. This is a column. Columns are represented by letters across the top of the sheet. So we have the columns, as you're seeing, running from up to down. Then we have what you call a cell. A cell is the intersection between column and a row. Each cell is named for the column letter and the row number that intersects to make it. So we have this point here which is called a cell, the intersection of a row and a column. We have our column, which is column B. Then we have our row, which is row 2. So we have, just by that, you're going to see that this cell here is called B2. Where did it get its name from? The letter which is above the column, and then the number which is on the left of the column. That's why we call this cell C2. It is C2. Ignore the cell. Of course, it is a cell, but it is called C2. That is the cell name. Okay. Excel allows for some basic actions which we have used before in other programs. Like, for example, in Microsoft Word, and that is under Computer Literacy 1, we were able to do copy and paste, we were able to do insert, we were able to sort, and so on and so forth. So all these basic actions, you can still do them in Microsoft Excel. The insert command offers several techniques to insert rows, columns, and cells. And these include the option that they have given us down here, insert. When you click insert, you can insert cell to the right, you can insert cell down, you can enter row, you can enter a column. Then we have the delete. The delete command offers several techniques to remove rows, columns, and cells. Yes, we can remove cells, we can remove cells left, cells to the cells up, entire row, and then entire column. We can remove them by what? By the delete command. Then we also have what we call cell merging. When we are talking about cell merging, here we are talking about getting those small cells, merge them into a big cell. Maybe you want to put a title of your work, or you want to write a bigger text in it. So merging allows us to combine two or more adjacent cells physically. So you can combine them in what we call merging. To merge cells, simply highlight the cells to be merged and then select the merge option from the home menu. So here now they are directing us on how to merge cells. Please, like I said earlier, this is entirely a practical course unit, so do not get bored by this. We are still going to look at this practically. Cells can also be formatted with the option you are probably familiar with, such as bold, font size, borders, etc. Like I said earlier, most of the things we were doing in Computer Literacy 1, and that is Microsoft Word, we can still transfer the knowledge and use here, especially when it comes to formatting. These options can be found scattered on the home menu or under the format cell menu via the right-click list. Even the whole row and column can be formatted. Let's take a look. A cell also allows us to format cells. Excel also allows us to format cells by their data type. Yes, in Excel we are going to be dealing with what you call data types. There are different data types here. We have numbers, we have general, we have date, we have short date, we have long date, and so on and so forth, that we are going to look at in a few. To format the cell data type, in the number section of the home menu, select the number drop-down menu. The default is usually general, yes. And then select the new data type that you want. That is what they are telling us. How is it done? We are still going to look at it in a few. Then we also look at adjusting a column width. As you're seeing, there's always a line which is running from up down that determines the column width. You can adjust it by putting your cursor where they have put the cursor here, and then move that line either to the right or to the left. By doing so, you end up adjusting the size of the column. Okay. Then we also look at adjusting the row height. You can as well adjust the row height. Row height is the vertical measurement of a row. The row height is automatically adjusted with the font size increase. The moment you're increasing on the font size, the row height will also be adjusted so that the data can fit in. Using Alt and Enter to create multiple lines may require a row height adjustment. Select the row height from the format menu. Then let's look at data entry. There are two ways to enter information into Excel. One is by typing direct into the cell. Yes, you can type direct into the cell and the data is captured into your cell. Click on the cell and type in the data, number or text, and then press enter. That is how we enter data into, like you're seeing here, the cursor was put into A1 and then this data was entered. Pretty much straightforward, no rocket science. Number 2 is what by typing into the formula bar. This is what we call the formula bar, where you're seeing FX here, then there's this bar here. It is known as the formula bar. Type into the formula bar. Click on the cell. First of all, you need to click on the cell where you want to enter the data, and then click in the formula bar, then the space next to which is the space next to fx, which is this space here. Now type the data into the bar and then press enter. By doing so, if you enter the data here when you have selected the cell, that data is going to be entered into that cell. That is option 2 of entering the data into your Excel. Excel support text, values, date, and formulas, and results as well. Formula results rather. So you can type in your text, you can type in your date, you can type in values, you can type in decimal values, you can type in formula results, and you're able to see all your formula. Then you see the result being given to you. Then let's look at numeric formats. We have the different data types that we have under Excel. We have general. A number has its written or has its originally entered. That is general. It can accept both numbers, it can accept alphabets, all mixed together, general. Let's go to numbers. A number with or without the 1,000 separator. That is number. Then when we go to currency, a number with 1,000 separator with an option of adding the sign to it. It can be the dollar sign, shilling sign, or whatsoever sign you want to add to it. That is currency. Then we have accounting. A number with 1,000 separator with an option of the dollar sign at the left cell border. This one is saying, the first one of the currency is saying sign to the immediate left, but this one is saying at the left cell border. Then we have date. Of course, date is going to capture the date. Then we have time. Time is going for capturing time. Then we have percentages. We also have fractions. We have scientific. We have text. And then we have special. And then custom has last. That is numeric format continuations. These are all different data types that we can deal with in Excel. Of course, to read about this, still I'll give you this PowerPoint. You can still read through. I just don't want to make the video very lengthy, because the main thing is we have to go into our practicals. We have to dive into practicals as soon as possible. So this is just an illustration of the different data types or numeric formats, okay, rather. Then we have data removal. Data can be removed from a cell, a column, or a row easily. Here are a few methods. Click on the column or the row heading that you want delete. Then click delete in the cell group on the home tab. So you're going to click on delete. Then it's going to delete for you that. Another method for entire row or column deletion is to click on a cell in the row or a column and follow the above method respectively. The method that we talked above, it's still going to delete. Delete methods are also found via the right click. Yes, you can select the area that you want, right click, you're still going to get the deleting methods. To remove data from a cell or a group of cells, simply highlight those cells and then click on delete. You should be able to do what? To delete them by just pressing the delete on your keyboard. Okay. Then we are looking at selecting a cell range. Of course, this is just an illustration as you're seeing here. You can select a cell range. Some areas I may not really concentrate on because we are going to be looking at this practically. Then we have this very, very important guy here called autofill. Autofill enables us to copy the content of a cell or a range of cells by dragging the fill handle over adjacent cells or a range. Autofill is very important in Excel because you can just do your formulas. After doing your formulas, then you autofill to the other cells so that you don't have to do the formulas in each cell manually. To use the autofill, click the cell with the content you want to copy to make it the active cell. After doing that, position the pointer over the bottom right corner of the cell until it changes to the fill pointer, which is a cross like. We are going to be seeing it in a few. A thin black plus sign. Drag fill handle to repeat the content in other cells. Yes, so by the time you see that thin black plus sign, you're going to just do what? You're just going to click all down, then drag to all the other cells that you want autofill. Okay. These are basic formulas and functions that we use in Excel. Below are just mathematical expressions or formulas that we use, rather symbols that we use in Excel. So in a few, we are going to be looking at them and how to use them practically. Okay.